Yes, my name is Nikhil. All right, I'm your economics faculty, and we'll be dealing with economics for the next 25 odd days. All right. So I hope all of you are giving your exam next year, no? Yes. Okay. Now the object of this course is, how many of you have studied economics in your graduation or in your PUC or pre-university? You have studied economics. Okay. But I see not a lot of people have studied, right? So the object of my course is to make sure that I introduce you to the subject, and I'll transform this economics, a fairly technical one, into easynomics. Okay, so that would be the object of the course. All right, and the object of this class in particular would be to introduce you to the subject and CSE preparation in general and economics in particular. All right. So at the end of the class, you would be able to understand the nuances and nitty-gritties of the preparation. You would be orienting yourself to the exam. All right. Is it okay if I speak in English generally? Yes. Kanglish al matadana. Okay. Salpa ಜನರಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ, how many of you don't know Kannada? Okay, but we'll make sure that we'll do it in English and Kannada. All right, majorly English. All right. Okay, so this would be a fairly easy class. Don't worry about the subject. All right, you would get lessons of subject as well as my experiences, all right, which would help you traverse to this journey. All right, first of all, I'm very happy to look at your exuberance today. All right, I remember my old days when I was attending classes. All right, I also applaud you for being courageous as well as social responsibility. And I say, why courageous? Because you have decided to opt for one of the most difficult exams in this world, right? Correct or not? Gottidena alva athwa sumne bandbitra? You have opted for one of the most difficult exams in this country. The competition is going to be cutthroat at the very outset. I'm going to tell you. That is why you are courageous. All right. At the same time, I also applaud your sense of social responsibility. And what do I mean by this sense of social responsibility is your desire and your wish to transcend beyond yourself. Look, every job is special and unique. Okay. Every job has its own functional significance, which led to the development of human civilization. But what separates a normal corporate job and a career in civil service is the mere scale and scope. Now, what do I mean by scale and scope? Take an example of Aruna Sundararajan. Have you heard about her? She's an IAS officer from Kerala. All right. She was heading a program or a scheme called as Kudumbashri. Now, this Kudumbashri program was nothing but organizing women into self-help groups, giving them credit and asking them to establish micro enterprises. So what happened was, just in a matter of few decades, it led to immense women empowerment. Who was heading it? She was an IAS officer. She was a civil servant. By her decisions, she was able to touch millions of lives. Getting my point? So when you're operating at this level, you will be able to touch lives. You will be able to transform people's lives. All right. You will be able to bring about the desired changes. And that itself is validation of human existence, isn't it? The very fact that we are humans comes from the fact that we have to think beyond ourselves. Alva? Correct or not? Do you agree with me? Animals also thinks about their existence, no? Yes or no? All animals are surviving, but there is something which separates us from them. That is things like empathy. which allow us to think beyond ourselves. Correct ilva? Yes or no? Don't stare at me, I'm getting nervous. Are you understanding what I'm telling? Okay, so basically ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಟಿ ಸೆಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Have you heard about tea session? How many of you have heard? Yes. Now tea session was a civil servant. All right. Now I'm just giving you examples as to how a decision, how one person, especially in these prime roles, has the capacity to transform things, to change lives. All right. T. Session was an election commissioner. Recently there was news about appointment of election commissioners. If you are reading the newspapers, yes or no? So he was also an election commissioner, T. Session. Now what T. Session did was, he had a major role in transforming elections and making them more freer and fairer. Artha aita? So voter ID, indelible ink which they put on your left hand, right? Left or right? Yak left ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದು? ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ರೈಟ್ ಇಂದ ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದು. Correct or not? All right. So indelible ink so that it prevents multiple voting. ಯಾಕ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? So basically he brought about transparency in electoral process. This person, one person, through his integrity and honesty, had transformed the election process and made it more transparent. Getting my point? So what I'm trying to tell you is, though every job in the society is important, but you choosing to become a career civil servant gives you the power and the responsibility to touch a lot of people's lives. I'm talking about the scale and scope. And second thing is, Max Muller is an Indologist. All right, he was a German scholar, he was a philologist and an Indologist. He says that if there is paradise on earth, then it is India. If there is one country where you find beauty, nature and power bestowed by nature, that I have to point out that it is India, he says. After a lot of years, India, that is the mother of democracy, the oldest democracy, is at the cusp of transformation. Okay. Now, when I say that we are at the cusp of transformation, I say that there are only few instances in a nation's history when such movements come. For example, instances in 1947. All right. Now we hear about a lot of people, right? Like Bose, Bhagat Singh, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel. All these people have sacrificed their youth to break this country from the shackles of slavery and to give us independence. All right. I think that this moment in India's history is also as important as that of 1947. With this demographic dividend, with this aspirational India, trust me, we are poised to rule the world as a superpower. Rule the world in positive sense. Getting my point? So at this moment, it is our added responsibility that we gift our next generation Viksit Bharat at least by 2047. You're hearing this term Viksit Bharat or not? Yes. So it says that India has arrived on global stage. Now it gets reflected in different agreements. Whenever we talk, when in our different positions, like, have you started reading newspapers? Yes. So whenever we take stand, the world wants to listen to India's stand, no? May it be on war on Ukraine, may it be the crisis in Palestine, yes or no? So this shows that India has arrived, and these 20 years are going to be very crucial. All right. It is going to be of prime significance, and especially the role of civil servants will also be most important in these 20 odd years. Artha agta idena? So it gives you an opportunity to be a part of this growth story. Getting my point? All right. But having highlighted as to why civil service is different from other services, I know, I'm sure that everyone has got your own motivation to come to this service. Yes or no? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ. Motivation, that cannot be the motivation. You're not understanding what I'm telling? IAS ಆದ್ರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂದ್ರ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟು. ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ IAS ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸರ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ವರದಕ್ಷಿಣೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪವರ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಐ ನೋ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋಬ್ಲರ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಬಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಕಲ್ಕೇಟ್ ಟು ಬಿಕಮ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್. Out of all the values, I would like to emphasize that the first most important value which will set you sail through this journey is consistency of effort. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? Consistency. I am telling you, and I promise you one thing, that this exam is not cleared by the most intelligent people. This exam is cleared by the most consistent people. There are a lot of people from IITs and IIMs. All right, they are intelligent, but they were not able to clear this exam. But ordinary people, average people, so-called average people, have cleared this exam because they had consistency of effort. All right. Now, it is very difficult to be consistent at this point of time in your life. All right. Youth ide, aggression ide, your hormones will be at their peak. To have this consistency, it becomes very difficult. But you need to understand that you are embarking on a journey which is one of the most unusual journeys of your lives. Getting my point? ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಜಾಬಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಆಸ್ಪೈರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು? UPSC CSC ಆಗಬೇಕು, CSC ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ. ವೆನ್ ದ ಗೋಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್, ದ ಜರ್ನಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಆರ್ಡಿಯಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? The bigger the goal, the more demanding it is, isn't it? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? How many of you are not following what I am telling? ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ? So basically what I am trying to tell you is, first important value ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾವುದು? Consistency. With consistency, I am telling you again, I repeat, this exam is not cleared by the most intelligent people. It is cleared by the most consistent people. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? And consistency is an outcome of discipline. Consistency is what? It is an outcome of discipline. And discipline is nothing but forcing yourself to do what you should do, even when you don't feel like doing. Alva? You don't feel like studying. You don't feel like getting up in the morning. You have to get up in the morning and study. You had a fight with your friends or a family. You have to get up in the morning, go to the library and study. You had a breakup, go to the library and study. You do anything, you should go to the library and study. It doesn't mean what you feel. It doesn't matter. But what matters is the very act of studying. Consistency of 7 hours every day. 7 ghante is your study hour. All right, those 7 hours should be your time, because that is to nurture your dreams. Understanding my point? If you reserve those 7 hours in your life for the next 2 years, because the exam cycle itself takes 1 year. You know that, no? You are aware, no? Now, for example, I have got an interview call for IFOS. Now, I got an interview call way back in what? Let's say January I got an interview call, but the dates are not out yet. So, I'm waiting. I'm preparing for interview also. That means exam process ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ. So for the next 2 years, you have to be consistent. Every day, 7 hours of your work, religiously, meticulously, if you give, this exam demands that. All right, the exam is not going to ask for your excuses. You might have 100 excuses, but there is only one reason for you to study those 7 hours. And how strong is that reason? That would determine your journey. Understanding my point? So first important value is what? Consistency. The more consistent you are, the more chances of you clearing exam increases. Getting my point? And the second most important, you need to understand the importance of discipline. All right, now it is discipline which is separating the winners and the losers. All right, it is discipline which is a bridge between your goals and accomplishments. All right, so I know it becomes difficult at times. There will be self-doubt many a times, but you need to push yourself and you need to be consistent. There is no other option. Artha aita? Imagine I put you in the middle of the deep sea. You have 2 options: either to drown or to swim. Either to perform or perish. There are only 2 options. This mentality will take you a long way in the future. Getting my point? Now, next important value which I found which is very important is singleness of purpose. Artha aita? Friend madhuve ide, go to library. Those 7 hours should be your 7 hours. I'm repeating, I'm telling you again, it is not the most intelligent people who are going to clear this exam. It is the most consistent people who are going to clear this exam. Singleness of purpose ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅರ್ಜುನಾಗ ಏನ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು? ಓನ್ಲಿ ದ ಐ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದೆರಡು ವರ್ಷ ಬರೀ UPSC ಕಾಣಬೇಕು. ಆ 7 hours ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಮದುವೆ ಇದೆ, ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. If it is in your study time, don't go. If it is after your study time, then you can go and meet. I'm not telling you to cut off from the social world. At the end of the day, man is a social animal. Alva? Yes or no? So make sure that there is singleness of purpose. Single-minded focus is what this exam demands. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹೃದಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪರ 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 ಗಣೇಶನ್ ತರ ಹರ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ ಈ 2 years. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪೇಪರ್ ಹರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಬಟ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟೇರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ I am not against people being into relationship in this preparation phase. Of course, it can be a added motivation, but I am telling you, ಏನೇ ಇರಲಿ, that's your individual choice. You're all individuals. ಪ್ರಧಾನ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ವಾ? Obviously we are adults ಅಲ್ವಾ? But what point I am trying to make is, priority ಯಾವ್ದಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಈ 2 ವರ್ಷ? What should be the priority in these 2 years? UPSC. Those how many hours? ಒಂದೇ ಸರ್ತಿ UPSC ಅನ್ಬೇಡಿ, that becomes very abstract ಅಲ್ವಾ? We have to describe it in a very concrete terms. Ala. What is that objective terms in which what is the metric in which I'm going to define these 7 hours? Getting my point? After 7 hours, you can do anything. But 7 hours ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಎಣ್ಣೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕುಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದೇಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿದೀರಾ? ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ. So meaning to say those 7 hours are extremely important. All right? So first ಏನಿರಬೇಕು? ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಏನಿರಬೇಕು? ಸಿಂಗಲ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಏನಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, the third important trait which will help you sail through this exam is, it is your enthusiasm to learn. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Learn. There are different ways of learning, and when I'm telling learning, I'm talking about active learning, not passive learning. All right? Confucius, a philosopher, tells that there are 3 ways to learn things. One is by imitation, which is the easiest. Second is by experience, which is the bitterest. Third is by reflection, which is the noblest. Imitation is a passive form of learning. Artha aita? Imitation doesn't have a lot of significance. ಕಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಕಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಕಾಂತ, ಐ ಲೈಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇಮಿಟೇಟಿಂಗ್. ಇದೇ ಉಪೇಂದ್ರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 1-2 ಕೋಟಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ₹1 ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ನೀವು ಮೇಡಮ್? ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಂಗ ₹1 ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ಬೇಡಿ. IS Baba pays me fair well. But ಅಂತ ಇರೋದು, imitation is a passive form of learning that has limited significance. What is of higher significance is what? Active learning. And active learning ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is you practicing daily, involving yourself in the process of learning. And active learning comes from humility. Humility ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ದೀನತೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Humility means what? ದೀನತೆ. You're not understanding what I'm telling? ಏನಂತಾರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಡ್? ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಲಿಟಿ, ಹಂಬಲ್. ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ತಗ್ಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ನಾವೇ ಆಮ್ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಡೌನ್ ಟು ಅರ್ತ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಲಿಟಿ, ಹಂಬಲ್. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಸೊ ಹಂಬಲ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹಂಬಲ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಇವನಿಗೆ ನನ್ಗಿಂತ ಗೊತ್ತು, ನನಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್. Know one thing that you know nothing. Know one thing that you know nothing. Socrates, the wisest man in ancient Greece, he was considered to be the wisest man in ancient Greece. He always asked one thing. He always affirmed one thing, that I know nothing. Even the wisest men think that they know nothing, because only then that gives you fire to learn new things, no? That makes you feel open-minded. Alva? ಬಸವಣ್ಣರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಜಗದ್ಗುರು ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಎನಗಿಂತ ಕಿರಿಯರಿಲ್ಲ, ಶಿವಭಕ್ತರಿಗಿಂತ ಹಿರಿಯರಿಲ್ಲ. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಅಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೈಸೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್, He tells that Yanaginta Kiriyarilla. There is nobody as inferior as me. And there is nobody as superior as the Shiva Bhakta. Shiva Bhakta in this case is your teachers, your mentors. Understanding my point? So that humility will drive you for a process of active learning. Alright? So what I am trying to tell you is, there are three values which will set you apart in this journey. One is what? One is what? Second is singleness of purpose. Because understand that if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. Getting my point? You agree with me or not? And the last point is what? Enthusiasm too. Enthusiasm. This is going to help you clear what? Huh? What, madam? Yenri? This is going to help you clear CSC, Civil Service Exam. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ತಾನೇ ನಾವು. ಆರಾಮಾಗಿರ್ರಿ, ಅಣ್ಣನ ಥರ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ನಿಖಿಲ್, ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಬಟ್ ಸರ್ ಅನ್ನಿ. ಏಯ್ ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಬಾರೋ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಗುರುವೇ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ, ಏಯ್ ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಬಾರೋ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಒಬ್ಬನು. ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ನೋ? So this is going to help you clear what? Understanding my point? Always visualize yourself to be that hard working farmer who is toiling in his field every day under the harsh sun. All right? Just like the farmer prepares his field, you have to prepare your mind and body every day to study. Just like that farmer who is going to choose quality seeds, you have to choose quality resources to study with the help of your teachers and your mentors. Just like that farmer timely irrigates the land, you need to timely repeatedly revise whatever you have studied. Just like that farmer who is going to protect his crops from the pests and the diseases and the weeds, you have to protect yourself from the negative thoughts as well as diseases by keeping and leading a healthy lifestyle. Only then the gods are going to shower rains of luck on you, and only then can you savor the harvest of success. You are like that farmer. Getting my point? I know this journey is going to be arduous. I am not going to tell you that this is sunshine and rainbows. Artha aita? I am not that lover who is going to tell you ಒಂದೇ ಸರ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದದಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. That is not good. That is not going to happen. This is going to be an arduous journey and arduous task. But I'll promise you one thing, that if you are seriously, honestly, and with integrity, if you're preparing for this exam, this is going to transform you to be a better and an aware citizen. Point number 1. It is going to make you an empathetic being. Point number 2. And it is going to make you a reasonable person. All right? But you need to never be scared of it. You should always push harder. Initially, we come after undergraduation wherein we do not study. We are not used to sitting for long hours. It will take at least 1 month for you to adjust to the schedule. But that depends upon the sincerity of your effort. Every day sitting for 7 hours is not an easy job. All right, you have to hold your mind and body together for those 7 hours and study. Getting my point? But that is going to eventually happen if you seriously try from your side. All right, you have to make small gains. Martin Luther King Jr. says that if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. You have to keep moving even if it is small gains which you are making in your day-to-day life. But don't think that I'm trying to scare you. You should overcome your fear also, because this exam is not everything at the end of the day. Getting my point? You have to work hard but not be scared. All right? Because लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं हो. नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवार पर 100 बार फिसलती है. मन का विश्वास रगों में सांस भरता है, गिरकर चढ़ना चढ़कर गिरना ना करता है. आखिर उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी असफलता एक चुनौती है, इसे स्वीकार करो। क्या कमी रह गई देखो सुधार करो। जब तक सफल ना हो नींद चैन को त्यागो तुम, संघर्ष के मैदान को छोड़कर मत भागो तुम। आखिर यूं ही किसी की जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं। You have to push yourself. I'm here not just for this subject or anything, any problem, any guidance you want. I'll be here always to help you out. All right? ಬರೀ ಇವತ್ತು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಐ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಗಿವ್ ಯು ಮೈ ಇಮೇಲ್ ಐ ಡಿ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಚ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಎನಿ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು. ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಶೇರ್ ಯು, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಯು ಸಿನ್ಸಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? None experiences with the exam, and I have cleared this exam, meaning to say I have written multiple mains, gone to interview. This time also I am going to give my interview. All my experience, I will make sure that it will help, it will add light to your preparation. Artha aagta idena? I will always be accessible to you. This is my responsibility, that all those people, of course ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಬರೋರು ಬರೀ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಇರೋರೇ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. Make sure that you are serious enough for this preparation, because ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಿವಿಲೇಜ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಿವಿಲೇಜ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್. ಯೆಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಬರೋಣ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುವ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ನು, ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೇಷನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಹೌದಾ? ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಬೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ನಾ? ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್, how many of you have read the syllabus once? You have read the syllabus. How many of you have memorized the syllabus? What separates an aspirant from a serious aspirant is this. All right. Now, syllabus, I always tell in my class, syllabus and previous year questions is like a map for UPSC. GPS ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಆರ್ ಟಿ ನಗರಿಂದ ವಿಜಯನಗರ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಚಂದ್ರ ಲೇಔಟ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ದಿಸ್ ರೂಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಐ ಡೂ? ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ? ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕೊಂತೀನಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ನಾವು ದಿಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ UPSC ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದೀಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ಸ್? ಈಸ್ UPSC ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಯು? ಡಸ್ UPSC ಟಾಕ್ ಟು ಯು? No, it talks to you once in a year. Does it talk or not? Huh? You are understanding what I'm telling? Does UPSC talk to you? It talks to you once in a year through questions, no? Notification alla, previous year questions. So UPSC talks to you through what? Previous year questions. To understand the tone, tenor and language of UPSC, you need to be very much aware of previous year questions. So I'm telling you, understand this. The more earlier you inculcate this, the more better it is to you. There are two things. What? Syllabus and ಇದು GPS ತರ ನಿಮಗೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಫುಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ GPS ಮ್ಯಾಮ್? ಇಂಡಿಯಾನು ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ GPS ತರ. ಯಾವ್ದದು? ಏನದ್ರ ಫುಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮು? ನ್ಯಾವಿಗೇಷನ್? ಎಸ್. ಸೊ ಮೇಕ್ ಶ್ಯೂರ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಮೆಮೊರೈಸ್ ದಿಸ್. Take a print of it. Keep it always with you. Memorize it. By the end of this class, I know that 98% of you will not memorize it. By the end of the course, while you are writing your prelims, I know that 98% will not memorize this. I know this out of my experience, that how many people will not memorize? 98%. If you want, you can prove me wrong. But it is these 2% who do it, maximize their chances of clearing this exam. People say that the competition is between 10 lakh people. Yes, 10 lakh applications. But trust me, the competition is between 30,000 people, not more than that. I am telling you a higher number. Among the 10 lakh who fill the form, only 30,000 are serious. It is your choice whether you are going to be serious or not. These are small things which are going to change, qualitatively improve your preparation. Artha aita? If at the end of this course, let us say the course ends on 25th, all right, or probably it might extend for some time. Let us introspect oneself, that how many of us have read and memorized syllabus and the previous year questions. Artha agta idena? You will arrive at this ratio. I am telling you again that the competition is between how many people? 30,000 ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Those are exaggerated numbers. 10 lakh people ಜೊತೆ compete ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತ. 10 lakh people ಜೊತೆ compete ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಆಡೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಡ್ತಾರಾ? Nobody. Correct or not? ಆ ಥರ. So I want all my students of my class to be in that 2%. I want you, if I push you to be in that bracket of 30,000, that means I've done my job. ಹಂಗಂತ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲ್ಸಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್ ಅನ್ಬೇಡಿ, ದಿನ ನೂಕಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲಿಸ್ತೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವಾಟ್? ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್, syllabus and previous year questions. All right. Now trust me, mains alli 10 years question paper previous solve ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ around 15 out of the 20 questions na ನೀವು attempt ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. How much? Themes repeat. Questions might change, the wordings might change, but themes repeat. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Getting my point? Why is the class not responding? ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ಹೌಸ್ ದ ಜೋಶ್? ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ, ಹೌಸ್ ದ ಜೋಶ್? ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಈಸ್, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಸ್ಲೀಪ್. ತುಂಬಾ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಾ? ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆವಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರಬೇಡಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ. intermittent fasting ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಲೀರಿ. ಸ್ಕಿಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ, skip the breakfast. All right. So what you are going to do? First thing is what? Previous year questions and syllabus. ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ನೀವು ಇದು ಮಾಡಲ್ವೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ನೀವು ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್? ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್? ಸೊ we will discuss about the syllabus today. I'll give you a broad overview as to what actually I am going to teach you in this class. All right. So before that, I would like to tell you the modus operandi of this class. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೆಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಈ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ಡ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಯಾವ್ದು ಅಡ್ಡ? ಲಾಂಗ್ ಮಚ್ಚಿಂದಲ್ಲ, ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಡ್ಡ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಸೊ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ದು ಅಡ್ಡ ಇದೆ ಇದು ಕ್ಲಾಸು, ರೈಟಾ? ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಎಡ್ಡ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿ ನೀವು. Third, I'll dictate. And fourth is the assignment. Now this constitutes an integral part of your class. Artha aita? Without this, it is like watching a movie. Don't do this. Always try to be updated with your assignment. Because only through this you will involve yourself in the process of learning. Yes or no? I was talking about active learning, ala. There will be micro test after each class, no? All right. So any doubt you can always ask me and make sure that you are doing this. All right. So I will explain. I will ask the doubts. You can ask me the doubts in the class. And then I'll dictate my notes. Don't worry. Whenever I explain, just focus. I just plead for your undivided attention. And then I'll dictate the notes in the class, and then I'll give you assignments. Artha aita? If you follow this, trust me, economics is going to be very easy to you, and I promise that. Artha aita? Yes or no? ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ಗಳು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ದು. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡೆಡ್ ದ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಯು? ಯಾ. Now, basically, economics in this foundation batch, I'm going to write shortcuts, all right? Be familiar with the shortcuts because I'm an engineer. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ನಾವು, ನಮ್ಮ ಜೂನಿಯರ್ಸೇ ಬರೀತಿದ್ದು. ಸೊ ತುಂಬ ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಬರೆಯೋದು ನೆನಪೋಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಜೂನಿಯರ್ಸಿಂದ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರ್ಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವರಲ್ಲ ನೀವಂದ್ರೆ. ನೋನಾ? ಹೌದು. ಜೂನಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದೇ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರ್ಸೋಕ್ಕೆ. ಹಂಗಂತ ರ್ಯಾಗಿಂಗ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಲೈಟರ್ ನೋಟ್. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಸ್. ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ದ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ identification exam. There is going to be 4 options in front of you. You need to identify the right option, or you have to identify 3 wrong options. Alva? Answer is in front of you. But mains is memory oriented. Alva? You have to write it on your own. Getting my point? So basically what we are going to do is, I'll give you an overview of what you are going to study in this course. First thing is, we have to understand what economics is. All right? Now, economics define madakinta munche, let us understand a story. All right? Imagine yourself that God has granted you a wish. All right? That your pocket will never become empty and your stomach will never be full. There are 2 assumptions I am making. First assumption is that your pocket will never become empty and your stomach will never become full. Now I take you to a restaurant and I ask you to order things. You can order anything, no? Will you limit yourself? Understand, there are 2 assumptions I am making. One assumption is, understand that you have been granted a wish by God that your pocket is never going to be empty. Second is that your stomach is never going to be full. You can eat as much as you want. Artha aita? I take you to a restaurant and I ask you to order things. Will you limit yourself? Yes or no? No. Now, is this the reality in this world? No. We have limited pockets, no? Yes, we have limited resources. Getting my point? So whenever I limit resources, am I not forcing you to choose? Yes or no? If resources were unlimited, you were ordering biryani, bellulli kebab. Yakri nagta idira? You were ordering biryani, bellulli kebab, paneer, tikka masala, whatever. The moment I say that I'm only giving you 200 rupees, you have to choose between them, no? Yes or no? And the very fact that there are limited resources is forcing you to make a choice. Yes or no? Studying how individuals and societies andre, it can be state, it can be other institutions. So studying how individuals and societies are making a choice itself is economics. Artha aita? Understanding my point? 500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಬಾರ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಓಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಂಕಾ ಬ್ಲೆಂಡರ್ ಸ್ಪ್ರೈಡಾ? ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, government has resources. The government has to choose whether it has to allocate resources to education or infrastructure, whether it has to give bhagyagalu or whether it has to build roads. Yes or no? ಶಕ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಯಾರಿಗೋ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ದುಡ್ಡು? You don't know what is Shakti? There are 5 guarantees, no? It is government which is deciding whether it is going to give you a free bus ride or whether it is going to invest in education or infrastructure or health or etc etc etc. And why is the government making a choice? Because the government has limited amount of money, no? That means there are scarce resources and this scarcity is forcing you to choose things. And how people are making choice, the study of this choice itself is what? Economics. Getting my point? Have you understood what economics is? So basically scarcity. Scarcity forces us to make a choice, and how this choice is made is what? Economics. The study of this choice is what? Economics. But why do we consume products? Why are we forced to make choice? Because it is a necessity, no? Because consuming some things give us utility or not? Utility and satisfaction. When you went to a restaurant and consumed biryani or paneer, did that not give you satisfaction? It was satisfying your hunger or not? That you call it as utility in economics. What is it called? Utility. So we try to consume things to satisfy our utility. And to consume things we need what? Resources. But resources are scarce. That is, there is a problem of scarcity in this world. Because the resources are scarce and there is a problem of scarcity in this world, we are forced to make a choice. And the study of these choices is called economics. Understanding? Artha agtadena? So economics ಅಂತ ಯಾರು ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ನೀವು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಯಾರು ಅಂದರೂ ನೀವು ಈ ನಿಮೋನಿಕ್ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ನಿಮೋನಿಕ್? SUC. ಎಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಯು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಸೊ ನಾವು ಈ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, in this course we are going to understand how different institutions in this country are making choice to allocate resources. Basically, look how an individual is making choice is called as microeconomics. Individual andre family or a firm, let us say a firm of, let us say 150 people or a family of 7 people. How these people are making choice is called as what? Microeconomics. And how big societies, understand, 7 people make a choice versus 140 crore people making a choice. There is a difference, no? Alva? One family less jana irbod maximum. 7-8 people. Nowadays there are nuclear families, there is not even 7-8 people. Or a big firm, let's say TCS, like 1000 employees, 2000 employees, that's it. But when you take a look of broader societies, like India, 142 crore people, there is a difference between how we make choices or not? Yes. So when you study how these societies make choice, this is called as what? Macroeconomics. And UPSC basically focuses on microeconomics or macroeconomics? Macroeconomics. Alright? In macroeconomics, you are not looking at an individual or a household, you are looking at a broader economy. Entire country. Artha agta idena? 140 crore people employment idena ilva? There is employment for 140 crore people or not? If there is no employment for 140 crore people, what are the policy measures which I have to take so that employment in the society increases, so that even those people get resources and they satisfy utility? Getting my point or not? Yes or not? So basically what I am trying to tell you is, UPSC in this, for this exam, majorly I am telling you, macroeconomics is what we have to study. All right. Now I told how societies are making choices. Yes or no? Now there are various organizations in societies whom we have given our power to take decisions on behalf of us. And these people are going to allocate resources on behalf of us or not? Yes or no? You are electing your government in the next, I think in the next 1 month or so. Yes or no? By electing the government, are you not foregoing your power to make choice? Are you not giving them the power to make choice on behalf of you? Yes or no? And one of the most important choices of all the choices is allocation of resources or not? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ನಾವು, ಪಾಲಿಟಿ ಮುಗ್ದಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಸೊ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಯಾವ ಸ್ಕೀಮಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಲೋಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ವಿಚ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಶುಡ್ ಅಲೋಕೇಟ್ ಮೋರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟು ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಲೋಕೇಟ್, am I not allocating resources? That means, is the government not making a choice? It is making a choice. So we are going to study the choice made by the government of the day under what? Budget. Ultimately, all the choices made by the organizations would be to ensure that there is general prosperity in the level of society. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಮೃದ್ಧಿಯಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಂತಾನೆ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದವರು. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಇನ್ ಬಜೆಟ್, ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ರಿವೈಸ್ ಬಜೆಟ್? ಎಸ್, ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ರಿವೈಸ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್? ಬಿ ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್. ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದಲ್ಲ, ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ನೀವು. ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಡೂ ವಾಟ್? ರಿವಿಷನ್. Okay, I'll just brush up what budget is. In a democracy, who is the most powerful? People. Power lies with whom? Demo and Kratos, ಅಲ್ಲ? Demos ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Demos ಅಂದ್ರೆ people. Kratos ಅಂದ್ರೆ power. Power lies with whom? People. So people power ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾನೂನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Do you go and give? Do you go and make laws? No. But the government has to ask everything to you, no, because you have got power in democracy. All right. So the government asks your permission as to how it is going to spend its financial resources in the country. That is why they pass a bill in the budget, no? There are 3 bills which are passed in the budget. One is the finance bill, the appropriation bill, and the annual financial statement. Are you recalling things? Budget is nothing but asking your permission to take money from your account and asking your permission to spend your money. Because ultimately, who is the owner of the money? People. That is why you talk about people money, no, public money, public funds. And how are they going to ask permission to take your money from your pocket? That means taking your money from your pocket and the taxation, alwa? Government will come and snatch money from you? No. Dakaiti madutta government? No, right? So it has to take money in the form of what? Tax. In democracy, who is the most powerful? The people are the powerful. So I have to take people permission to take money from their pocket, and I also have to take people permission to spend that money, isn't it? Getting my point or not? So taking money from people's pocket is what? Taxation. From taxation I get resource, and spending money from people's pocket is what? Allocating this money to different sectors or not? Yes. So for taking money from people's pocket, which is the bill I pass? Finance bill ant kelidira? Yes or no? For spending money, for taking permission of people for spending the money is which bill? Appropriation bill ant kelidira? Yes or no? How many of you have attended polity class? So would you promise me one thing, that you are going to revise budget? Yes. All right. And next teacher ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು economics ಯಾವುದೋ question ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ don't go blank. Yes or no? So make sure that you actively participate in the process of learning. Understanding my point? So the point I am trying to make is, in macroeconomics, in your syllabus, you are going to understand the nitty-gritties of making a budget, because the government through budget is allocating what? Scarce resources to satisfy the utility of millions of people or not? Yes. Apart from the government, we also have another organization called as the Reserve Bank of India. Have you heard about Reserve Bank of India? Yes. Now, Reserve Bank of India comes out with something called as the monetary policy. In this monetary policy, the Reserve Bank of India either increases the repo rate or decreases the repo rate. I will teach everything in detail, don't worry, provided all of you attend the class. I expect one thing from you, that the first day, whatever the strength is there in the class, make sure that this continues on the last day also. All right, last day break kutkolbedi. That means I want you to be a bit more serious. So the point is, you will understand everything. So through monetary policy, the Reserve Bank of India is going to decide how much money is present in the economy. Reserve Bank of India decides money supply, no? How much money is supplied in this economy, so that by controlling this money supply, Reserve Bank of India will determine whether the inflation is going to increase or decrease. You have heard about inflation? Yes. It also decides how much people are going to save. If there is more inflation, do you save more or do you consume more? Will there be more spending or will there be more savings? More. When inflation increases, savings increase agutta? Huh? Because inflation is price rise, ala? Munche 5 rupees iro chocolate. Earlier you were getting a chocolate of 5 rupees and you had a pocket money of 10 rupees. Now the price of the chocolate has increased to 8 rupees. What is your savings in the first instance? Second instance? So don't you think savings is, RBI through its monetary policy is trying to manipulate the saving rate in the country? And when you save something, those 2 rupees you are going to keep it in a bank, no? And the bank will lend that loan to Ambani, no? And he will open a new supermarket and employ 100 other people or not? Don't you think government is making a choice whether to increase inflation or decrease inflation through its monetary policy rates, thereby affecting saving rates in the economy, thereby affecting investment, thereby affecting employment? Yes or no? And if more people are employed, automatically the aggregate level of utility in society increases or not? You are able to connect it? So money supply another kalibekadaga. What is money kalitivi? Naturally. Yes or no? So we will learn about different types of money. Different types of money. And different tools of monetary policy. Different tools of monetary policy. ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನರ್ ತರ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್, ಯಾಕೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? So whenever I am talking about money supply, apart from Reserve Bank of India, what is the institution, what is the other institution in the society which you can recall? Banks, no? Don't you think banks deal with money or not? Every one of us have gone to banks. We have had banks in our lives. Yes or no? So we also study, whenever we are studying money, we also study what? Banking also. We also study banking also. Now, we will try to understand why banking is important. What are the different terminologies which are associated with banking? What are the issues which currently are faced by Indian banking system, etc., etc., etc. But to give a brief overview, I'll tell you a story. Imagine that there is a tea vendor here. All right, there is a tea seller here. Now this tea seller sells 150 cups of tea every day. How many cups he is selling? 150. There is a demand for 150 cup. He is selling 150 cup. And from the money earned from this 150 cups of tea, from the money earned from this 150 cup of tea, he is spending for his children's expenses, for the raw materials of the shop, etc., etc. Now, if this continues, can he expand? Every day he is selling 150, he is getting that money. And this money is, he has fixed expenses also. Can he produce 200 cups now? Because he doesn't have money for that, no? For producing 200 cups, he will need more raw materials or not? Before he was having, let us say, the need for 2 milk packets. To produce 200 cups, he need to have 3 milks or not? 3 milk packets or not? But extra money, extra ದುಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ. Understanding or not? Getting my point? So business will continue, no? Like this only in cycle. Now imagine a situation where there is somebody who has lent him this extra 50 rupees. Now he'll take a machine, he will employ 2 other laborers, and he will start producing 250 cups. Don't you think the business is expanding? Now as the business is expanding, don't you think he's hiring more people? Now who is lending this money? Artha aagta ide na? What is the function of banks in financial system? It is channelizing money from surplus and giving to people who are deficit. Deficit ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Shortage. Surplus ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Just. Don't you think it is making savings investment? Savings ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ? Savers ಹತ್ರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Surplus people. And they will, the deficit people will take it and, yes or no? Madam, with your income, can you construct a house? Huh? Presently, no. And even if he's a software engineer, let's say he's earning 1 lakh. Can he construct a house with that 1 lakh? To construct a house, he has to save for another 20 odd years, ala? Yes or no? But ನಾನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನಿಮಗೊಂದು ಮನೆ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. Home loan I'll give you. Yes or no? And you construct a house. To construct a house, you are going to hire construction laborers or not? Architect, engineer, interior designer. Those people are being employed right now or not? Meaning to say, through finance, through these banks, by giving loans, are going to generate what? Economic activity in the society. That is why banks are important. So when banks are important, we need to understand what are the problems which are faced by Indian banking system. Yes or no? ಬೋರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ಕ್ಲಾಸು? ನಿಜ ಹೇಳಿ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹತ್ತಿಸ್ಬೇಡಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ಹತ್ತಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಕಡೆನೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. So point ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, the point I am trying to make is what are the current issues which are faced by our Indian banking system? Have you heard about something called as the non-performing assets or NPAs? Huh? Non-performing assets. I'll tell everything in detail. So basically, what am I going to study? I am going to study about the role of Indian banks. What are the problems and issues which are faced by Indian banks? And what are the solutions which we have taken? Understanding my point? So what was I studying? I'm going to study what? Government budget. I'm going to study what? Money supply, banking, monetary policy, etc. All right. Apart from that, India also trades with the rest of the world or not? What do you call this? Globalization? Vaishvikarana antivala? Have you heard of globalization? So basically, we import something and we export something. We import some goods and we export some goods. Now, whenever we import something and export something, there is some organization which maintains the account of what we are importing and what we are exporting. This is called as balance of payment. Yes or no? Heard of balance of payment? Okay. So basically, we'll also be studying with balance of payment. In this chapter, we'll be studying as to what are India's imports and what are India's exports. All right. And what are the problems we face? All right. Our currency faces. In this same topic, we are going to study something called as exchange rate also. Have you heard of exchange rate? How many rupees is equal to $1? That is the exchange rate. Right now, what is the exchange rate? 80 rupees. We will understand the dynamics as to why the exchange rate increases and decreases, and how is it related to Indian inflation, the strength of Indian economy, etc., etc. So what were we studying? We were studying government budget, we are studying money supply, money and banking, monetary policy committee, RBI, and then we are going to study what? Balance of. And what is balance of payment? It is nothing but a systematic record of imports and exports. Yes or no? ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮಂದರೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅಕೌಂಟು ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್ ಇಂತಿಷ್ಟು ಬಂತು ಇಂತಿಷ್ಟು ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಸೊ ಇದೇ RBI ಬರೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಕಾಲ್ ದಟ್? ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್. ಇದೇ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಜೆಟ್? Budget at the end of the day is nothing but how much you are receiving and how much you are spending. So budget of the kitchen is made by whom? Mummy. Budget of the government of India is made by whom? Dod mummy, Nirmala Sitharaman. Dodamma. Simple adella. All right. So basically, this we are going to study. Apart from that, we are going to study something called as different sectors of economy. What do you study? Different sectors of economy. Different sectors of economy alli ಏನು ಓದ್ತೀವಿ? There are primarily three sectors. Primarily three sectors. One is called as the primary sector, the other one is the secondary sector, and the other one is the tertiary sector. Primary sector is any sector which is going to take natural resources directly. Yes or no? Now, example of primary sector is agriculture. Nature is growing rice or not? See, farmer has made a conscious effort, but nature is growing rice or not? It is natural or not? Now, how do you differentiate something which is natural and which is artificial or man-made? Anything which can exist without human is natural, no? Imagine if humans are wiped out on the face of the planet. This rice will still grow, no? The trees will still grow, no? That is why they are natural or not? So don't you think rice is natural? Buildings grow agota if humans have wiped out from this exist. So that is why buildings are man-made, no? Yes or no? So basically, rice is what? Natural. We are directly taking rice, no? So don't you think this is a primary economic activity? So what is a primary economic activity? Anything which we take directly from nature. Millions of years ago, an iron was formed. It is hidden inside the earth. We are directly taking that iron from the earth, no? By a process of mining. All right. Don't you think mining is a primary economic activity? Yes. Quarrying. Bande. ಬಂಡೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಬಂಡೆ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಜೋಕ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಗಾಡಿ ಮಾರೆ, ಒಂಥರ ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಲಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಜೋಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. All right, so mining, quarrying, agriculture and allied activities, animal husbandry. So anything we are taking directly from the nature, that is called as, that comes under which economic activity? Primary economic activity and primary sector. Secondary economic activity, you know, primary things na, whatever I have extracted from the nature directly, I am processing it to make another good or product. That is called as secondary economic activity. That is what is done in industries, ala. This iron was formed in Jharkhand some millions of years ago. I have taken this iron out. I have processed that iron into a fan or not? So fan manufacturing is a secondary economic activity or not? Understanding? So secondary sector. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಟರ್ಷರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಯು. Is it not a service? Am I producing something? Nothing. But I am giving you a service. So this comes under tertiary economic activity. We will understand different sectors of the economy. In particular, what is important for the exam is agricultural sector, because agriculture employs 45% of India's population. Why is agriculture important? First, mammam anbeku. Mammam is what? Uta ala. Without agriculture, can you have food? Mammam plus employment, alwa. It is not just for food security. Agriculture in India is also important because a lot of people are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood or not. In agriculture, we are going to study what are the different factors which are affecting India's agriculture, what are the different problems faced by Indian agriculture, what is the way out. All right. Recently, farming has become a negative enterprise or not? A loss-making enterprise, or how many of you are associated with farming families? Most of us. Just look, why agriculture is important is most of our class is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture, no? Yes or no? What is happening? Input costs in farms is increasing, but bele sigta illa. The price, the remunerative price for a farmer, you are not getting. So eventually He is borrowing money from a local money lender who is charging high rate of interest, and he is always in the perpetual cycle of debt. This is called as what? Debt trap. Eventually he will suicide. Getting my point? So that is why what he is doing, all the agriculture land he is converting into non-agriculture land. He will do some for 30-40 plots and he'll sell. No. Why is a farmer converting an agriculture land into a non-agriculture land? Have you experienced this? All the agriculture land is converted, most of the agriculture land in rural areas also and in cities is converted into non-agriculture land for construction purposes, no? Don't you think in the long run it is going to affect our food security? So all these problems will be dealt by where? Agricultural sector. And then we'll deal with manufacturing sector a bit, which is not very important for exams. We'll deal with schemes like the PLI scheme. Have you heard of PLI scheme? Production linked incentive scheme, which the government of India has brought in. All right. We'll talk about different areas wherein we are going to manufacture. All right. And then we'll also talk about different initiatives of the service sector. But primarily our focus is on agriculture, because as civil servants, you have to deal with what? People who are dependent on whom? Agriculture. Understanding? Can you revise what and all we are going to study? First is we are going to study government budget. Because how is government budget linked to economics? Can you tell me? Economics is nothing but scarcity. For scarcity, I am making a choice. In budget, government is making a choice. Yes or no? So we are going to study this choice in what? So budget is nothing but the account made by Dhodama. All right. And then second is what? We are going to study money supply, money, monetary policy tools, and then we are going to study banking, then we are going to study balance of payment and different sectors of economy. After different sectors of economy, we are going to study human resource development. All right. Can economy be possible without human labor? Can anything be possible without human labor? No. Now, human labor andre, human resource andre no. 24/7 mobile ಅಲ್ಲಿ PUBG ಆಡೋದು human resource ಅಲ್ಲ. Human resource is you should give him some skills and education so that he can do a productive job in the society or not. For that you need to have education and health. Yes or no? Skills. So all these things will be dealing with human resource development. All right. Apart from that, one important thing we'll be dealing is, so whenever you go to a hospital, whether to know you are healthy or not, the doctor will make some checks, no? Some diagnostics. Yes, he will check your BP. He will check your sugar levels. Then SpO2, ECG, etc. Now, ಏನ್ರಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರು? ರಮ್ಯಾ. Now, Ramyan health check ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ we are going to do all this. Now, to imagine this person in this Indian economy. To check the health of Indian economy, I have certain metrics, certain diagnostics which I have to make, certain measurements which I have to make. So these are what? Understanding? So we'll be studying in detail what these metrics mean. What is this? GDP? Yes or no? Second is employment. Only when GDP, when a country is growing, you can expect employment, no? So when you are going to say that Indian economy is healthy, don't you think that you are going to measure GDP and then tell? Yes or no? When you say Indian economy is healthy or unhealthy, you will talk about employment levels or not? Rahul Gandhi always criticizes Modi because of that, no? He always tells that jobs are not being created. Yes or no? Getting my point? Then inflation. Yes or no? And then inequality, etc. So we are going to study different metrics. So this is your syllabus for prelims. All right. This is your syllabus for what? Prelims. We'll be studying what? Can you help me revise? Money, banking, monetary policy tools. Then we are going to study what? Then we are going to study what? Are things legible? Yes. So these are the different parameters. So these are the different syllabus which we are going to cover. Any doubt? Any doubt till now? You need a break? Huh? Was that so boring? This is infrastructure. Then we'll go for main syllabus. Kindly open the syllabus, no? Yes, you can take a break of how many? 5 minutes. We'll start. Though today's class is about, what was your schedule given? Today's class is orientation and strategy. That's it. All right. From tomorrow we'll start with the syllabus, but I'll give you the mains. We'll discuss main syllabus so that you can get a feel of the subject. You can get an overview of what we are going to study in this course. Yes. 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಆ ಕಡೆನೇ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ Huh? 10 minutes is the break time. Huh? ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ ಬ್ರೇಕು? 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬೇಕು. ಟೀ ಬೇಕಾ? ನಂಗೂ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀರಾ? ಬೇಡ ಗುರು. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಓಕೆ, ಟೇಕ್ ಎ 10 minute break. We'll start sharp at 11:30. Kindly open your syllabus, no? If you have not opened the syllabus, kindly download the syllabus. UPSC syllabus PDF. If you do, you'll download the syllabus. Download it from the official UPSC site and go to page number 130. Huh? Any issues? But I want everyone to have your syllabus in front of you, because you are going to dictate me the syllabus points, no? Page number 130. So it is GS3. Okay. So what is the first point? Can you Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development and okay, and employment, no? Now KS you will be writing in a short span, no? So if you cover them, most of the syllabus of the KS economy is also going to be covered. Getting my point? So there is an overlap between the UPSC syllabus as well as the KPSC syllabus. There are some add-ons, all right, like public administration you have to study for KS extra, you have to study rural development, all right. But if you are well versed with UPSC syllabus, you automatically make sure that you automatically will clear KS. Understanding my point? So ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ the importance has come down because earlier, understand this thing, earlier munche, that means when India became independent, we followed something called as state socialism. All right, now what is state socialism? State socialism, basically what is socialism? Socialism andre enu andre, today you will find government hospitals and private hospitals, no? Yes or no? Imagine a society wherein there are only government hospitals, only government schools, only government institutions. Such states or such economies are called as socialist economies. Getting my point? But in India, government hospital ide, there is private hospital also. Government schools are also there. There are private schools are also there. That means in societies where private sector coexists with the government sector, private sector ide, government sector ide, such societies are called as mixed economies. Such economies are called as what? Mixed economies. Artha agta idena? So initially after independence ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ experience, India's experience with capitalism, that is free market, was not good. Because at the end of the day, East India Company one private enterprise ittala. Yes or no? Because of their greed, they started using all their resources, Indian resources, for their selfish needs, alla? Yes or no? Because of the greed of the private sector, it had left India as a colonial economy. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಝೀರೋ ಇತ್ತು, ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ literacy was almost illiteracy at that point of time was almost 92%. Illiteracy of India was almost how much? 92%. Life expectancy was 32 to 35 years old. Getting my point? So, and second thing is, our industries were only primary industries. Cotton mills ittu, jute or textile mills ittu, some steel industries then and there. So private sector was almost non-existent at that point of time. Indian private sector, all right. So that is why India at that point of time had decided that private sector atra investment illa. Yes or no? Now who will put the investment to build new industries? The government will put the investment. Getting my point? So we decided that we follow state socialism. There would be private sector, but state would be at the commanding heights of economy. Artha agta idena? State would be at the commanding heights of economy. That means most of the things state would do, because private did not have investment at the first place. Second thing is, we believe that state would be important for overall development. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇವಾಗ ನೀವು ವಾಚ್ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಯಾರು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? Who is producing a watch? A private company, no? Before a government company called HMT used to produce, you remember? Ask your parents. So understand, now things which were done by private sector also the government sector used to do at that point of time, because of our experiences with the colonial legacy and because people did not have investment. Getting my point? Car ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? Volkswagen, Hyundai, yes or no? ಮುಂಚೆ government used to produce cars, no? Maruti was a government company. Yes or no? Understanding my point? So basically, so when government was in every sector, government had to plan the allocation of the resources or not? This industry should get this many resources. This is the direction in which the economy has to go. Yes or no? So this was done by a body called as the Planning Commission. Understanding? This was done by a body called as the Planning Commission. Now, after 1991, we undertook something called as the LPG reforms. LPG andre liquefied petroleum gas Allah. It is liberalization, privatization and globalization. Understanding my point? Now, what did we do? Munche what was there? State was at the commanding heights of the economy. But it led to crisis. When state is at the commanding heights of the economy, mind you, what happens is state is prone to political pressures or not? ಇವತ್ತು easy dena bhagyagal roll back ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. Do you think it is going to be that easy to roll back the guarantees which are given by the Congress government even if the next government comes into power? Because it has people's connect, no? Because of the populist pressures or not? Understanding my point? So basically what happened was, we tried to protect our economy by reducing what? By reducing the exports, by reducing foreign companies and private players to participate. All right. And at the end of the day, what happened was this led to a full-blown crisis called as the BOP crisis. BOP crisis andre, ivaga, if I want to buy a tea from you, in which denomination of rupee will you accept? In which denomination of money will you accept? Rupees. But if I want to buy a tea from a United States tea seller, I have to pay in what? Dollars. US ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಟೀ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು? ಡಾಲರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಟೀ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ರುಪೀಸ್ ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಹಂಗೆ we have to buy oil from the Middle East. And for oil payments they are accepting in what? Dollars. But ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಡಾಲರ್ಸೇ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. The dollar shortage was such that we did not have the dollars not more than 14 days to cover our imports, oil imports. To import an oil we have to pay the money, no? Yes or no? For that we have to pay them money in dollars. But when we don't have dollars, what happens? Oil will be not coming into India. And can you imagine a day in India without oil? So this led to something called as the forex crisis ittala. There was no forex currency, foreign exchange currency. So this crisis was called as the balance of payment crisis. My God. Who has brought this? ಇಲ್ಲ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ how many of your dog lovers here? ನಾನೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಆದ್ರೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? ಸೊ 1991 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ದು ಇದೇ ಪಾಡಿತ್ತು. Meaning to say, India went with a begging bowl because we did not have money. That was a big time humiliation. India, which was once called a golden parrot, because of all the years of the British rule and some of the policies of the government, we went into something called as the balance of payment crisis, and we went for a loan to IMF. ಇವಾಗ ಯಾರೋ ನಮ್ಮ ನೇಬರ್ IMF ಹತ್ರ ಬೇಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು? ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್. And whenever IMF gives you a loan, it will impose conditionalities. Just imagine yourself to be in the position of IMF. Whom will you give a loan to? ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಜಾಬ್ ಇದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿದೌಟ್ ಅ ಜಾಬ್? whom will you give a loan, ma'am? People, a person with a job or a person without a job? A person with a job, because the chances of him repaying your money back increases or not? When they know that I don't have a job, then that bank will impose conditionalities, no? Hey, ಎಣ್ಣೆ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಡ ರಾತ್ರಿ, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗು. There are conditionalities, no? Don't go for conspicuous spending. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಬೇಡ. Yes or no? ದಿನ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ ತಿನ್ಬೇಡಪ್ಪ, ದಿನ ಮೀಲ್ಸ್ ತಿನ್ನು, 30 ರೂಪಾಯಿದು ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. So meaning to say, whenever a person who is not worthy of paying your loan back, you will impose some conditions and give or not. Similarly, the government, similarly, the International Monetary Fund, when we went for a loan for forex resources, IMF had imposed several conditionalities on India. And one of the important conditionalities were increase the participation of private sector, because government sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Inefficiency is there in government sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Yes or no? Have you visited a private bank and a government bank? If you visit a government bank, after coming from a government bank, you will be so depressed that you will start questioning your existence, ಅಲ್ಲ? Yes or no? ಅವನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶಿಯರು ತಲೆ ಎತ್ತು ನೋಡಲ್ಲ, ಹೈ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ರೋ ಅಂತಾನೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಲೋನ್ ಬೇಕಾ ಸರ್, ಲೋನ್ ಬೇಕಾ, ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವರೇ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಸೊ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸೇ, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಗ್ರೆಸಿವ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಿಂಗ್. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು 30 days ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸಂಬಳ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಟೋಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕಲಿ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮನಿ ಎಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮಂತ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್? ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಹಿಯರ್. There is a lot of security in the government job, no? But in private sector, if you don't perform, they'll fire you. So that will bring in efficiency or not? Because the sword of Damocles will be always hanging in your neck. Yes or no? So the point I'm trying to make is, the story was, we went to IMF. IMF had imposed several conditions, and one among the important condition was privatization, globalization and liberalization. Initially, ಆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ there were very restrictive conditions for a business to perform. Now imagine a condition wherein you are running a business, and for every small thing you have to go to a government office and take a permission. Do you think you will flourish in your business? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು? ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ನೀವೊಂದು ಆಂಟ್ರಪ್ರನರ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ನೀವೊಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೂ ನೀವು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗ ಹೆಂಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ 150 ಶರ್ಟ್ಸ್. 150 ಶರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ 200 ಶರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. For firing somebody also have to take the permission of the government. So they were extremely restrictive conditions. So we had to liberalize these conditions. So that is why we undertook liberalization reforms. Getting my point? So this comes in something called as the NEP policy. That is the new economic policy. Now eventually what happens? The role of private sector in India will start increasing. And when role of private sector in India will start increasing, function of planning commission will automatically come down or not? Utility. Yes or no? Why did we institute planning commission at the first place? Because the state was at the commanding heights of the economy and we had to allocate resources. And now when private sector is taking over in the economy, and when private sector is at the commanding heights of the economy, don't you think the utility of planning commission comes down? This is exactly what happened in 2014. After Narendra Modi took to power, he abolished planning commission and formed something called as the Niti Aayog. So for UPSC, the relevance of planning commission has come down. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಫೈಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ನೀತಿ ಆಯೋಗ್, ನಾಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಷನ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನೀತಿ ಆಯೋಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ರಿಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಡ್ ವಾಟ್? ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಕಮಿಷನ್. Now you understand the context of what planning commission and Niti Aayog is? Ma'am, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? Yes. So next is mobilization of resources. Mobilization of resources ಅಂದ್ರೆ government will sell. You have heard about something called as disinvestment, privatization. Disinvestment, have you heard the term disinvestment? What is disinvestment? Imagine government is owning a company. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100% ಓನರ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನನ್ನುತ್ತೆ, ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 30% ಶೇರು ನಾನು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ದ 30% ಶೇರ್ ಟು ದ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ವಾಟ್? Disinvestment. So when the government is selling the shares, what is happening? The government will receive money or not? Don't you think the government is mobilizing resources? This is one of the many ways in which the government mobilizes resources, which will be studying. Understanding my point? All right. And then growth. Now growth is nothing but, many people think that it is GDP, and it definitely is GDP. All right. Now there was a conventional thought that increase in GDP automatically translates to increase in employment and prosperity of the society. All right. GDP in simple terms, ಏನು GDP ಅಂದ್ರೆ output of a tea company, output of a tea firm or an output of a tea stall is measured by how many cups of tea he produces. Yes or no? Output of a shirt manufacturing company is measured by how many shirts he is producing. Yes or no? Output on fan company output ಹೆಂಗ್ measure ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? Number of fans a fan company is producing in a year, ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆನಿ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? If you start measuring the output of all the enterprises of India, you will get the GDP of a country. So basically GDP is nothing but the output of a country. Yes or no? Understanding my point or not? What is GDP? GDP is output in a domestic territory. Imagine this is the domestic territory which I am interested in. How will I calculate GDP? I will calculate output of all the firms which are present in this territory, and that if I add the output, what will I get? I'll get GDP of this particular territory. Understanding my point? Now understand one thing. GDP, you are following whatever I'm telling, no? Now understand one thing. Now GDP is what am I telling? Output. Yes or no? Now that means as the output is increasing, the employment also should increase, no? Meaning to say, earlier I was producing one fan and employing one labor. Now I am producing 10 fans. That means my output has increased. That means my GDP has increased. Andre, now to produce 10 fans, will I not increase the labor employed? GDP will automatically automatically lead to increase in employment or not? Yes. Now as increase in employment, as employment increases, many people have money in their pocket. They will consume more. Now when they consume more, the demand for goods will increase. Yes or no? And there will be general prosperity in the economy or not? Agreeing with me? How many of people don't agree with me? You are agreeing with what I am telling? Yes. But this theory had proved to be wrong. There are various instances which were recorded that GDP growth is increasing, but that is automatically not translating into something called as development. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಬೇರೆ ಕಲಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇರೆ. GDP is necessary but not sufficient for development. Chicken and rice is necessary but not sufficient to make biryani, no? Yes or no? Getting my point? Money is necessary but not sufficient to make you happy, no? Yes or no? You agree with me? ದುಡ್ಡಿದ್ರೆ ಖುಷಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತಾ? ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, of course it is important, but it automatically doesn't translate into happiness, no? Similarly, growth doesn't automatically translate into development. One is a quantitative concept, the other one is a qualitative concept. Quantitative andre just numbers, it is just numbers. Qualitative concept is nothing but something which is beyond numbers. For example, how do I explain? ಹುಡುಗಿಗೆ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ಹುಡುಗನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಎಷ್ಟು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್. 50 ಲಕ್ಷನಾ, 30 ಲಕ್ಷನಾ, 25 ಲಕ್ಷನಾ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹುಡುಗ ಎಣ್ಣೆ ಹೊಡಿತಾನ, ಡ್ರಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನ, ಹುಡುಗ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವನ ಕೆಟ್ಟವನ, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ, ನೋ? This checks quality or not? Understood the difference between quantitative and qualitative? ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ GDP. ವೆದರ್ ದ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ is checked by whom? GDP. But whether this output is increased by employing child labor, that is development. Whether this output is increased by exploiting the environment, that is development. Whether this increased output has led to the development of some of the remote villages in Bidar or not, is development. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸು? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಇದೆನಾ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ? Understand one thing. If you attend my classes, economics is going to be easy. All right, because I am ready to walk that extra mile to help you. Understanding my point? Next is employment. I told you, employmentally we'll study about different types of employment. All right. Now, what is the problem with Indian employment structure? Problem with Indian employment is we are going through a phase of something called as jobless growth. Growth ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, but jobs are not getting created in the economy. We'll understand why this is happening and what are the measures to counter this jobless growth. Don't you think after studying all of this, you are going to be a more aware and informed citizen? You will be in a better position to take decisions or not? So that is what I told you in the beginning, that this journey is going to transform you from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Metamorphosis antaralla idike, correct or not? How many of you have done your PCMB? Oh, nice. Understanding my point? Understanding everything? Sir, nimge artha agta idena? Yes or no? And tell me the next topic. I told you to open your syllabus. Yes, ma'am. Inclusive growth. I am telling, we are discussing syllabus so that you are familiar with every word. Okay? Inclusive growth. Inclusive growth. Nodi, Indian scenario. I am talking about Indian scenario. Growth has to be inclusive, but the problem is growth is not inclusive. I'll give you an example. Imagine that I have a cake of 1 kg. Imagine that I have a cake of 1 kg. I am distributing this cake among you. Okay? Let us assume that you are getting, like say 10 gram of cake. Everybody is getting how much cake? 10 gram of cake. Now, cake is what? Growth. Now, I increase the size of the cake from 1 kg to 10 kg. What would you assume? What is the share of you? Earlier you were getting how many grams? Now I have increased it by 10 times, no? The size of the cake has increased or not? Automatically, does it mean that your share per person is going to increase? Can I assume that? But assume that there is some bully here who is cornering most of the benefits. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೌಡಿ ಇದಾನ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಕೇಕ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬಟ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವನೇ ತಗೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ನಿಮ್ ಶೇರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಕೇಕ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬಟ್ ನಿಮ್ ಶೇರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ? ಇಲ್ಲ. You are not understanding what I am telling? Yes or no? So, in this scenario, don't you think this growth is not inclusive in second scenario? When the benefits of growth is cornered by one person, the cake has increased, but most of the cake is going to 1 or 2 persons. Your share in cake has not increased at all. That means your quality of life has not increased at all. There is growth, but the growth is not including the excluded sections of society. Yes or no? If growth includes the excluded sections of society, you call that growth as inclusive growth. And tell me, what are the excluded sections in society? Remember, there are always 4 excluded sections in society in Indian scenario. What are they? Class, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಚ್ ಪುವರ್, ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಲೋವರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಜೆಂಡರ್, male and female. Again, gender has become a very fluid term now, no? You should be aware with these trends. Do you think there are only two genders now? Gender is anything which is identified by men alive. Yes, L, G, B, T, Q, I, A, plus, mattenen plus hogutte no 5 ವರ್ಷ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ. And then rural, urban. Now, what do I mean? When growth leads to the increase in standard of life of a poor person, you call it as an inclusive growth. When growth leads to the change in the quality of lower sections of the society, you call it as inclusive growth. Yes or no? When growth leads to empowerment of women, you call it as inclusive growth, no? When growth leads to better facilities in rural areas, you call it as inclusive growth. That means growth is necessary but not sufficient, no? You are not concentrating on what I am telling. Is it boring? ಅರ್ಥ, ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಶುಡ್ ಲೀಡ್ ಟು ಬೆಟರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಪುವರ್ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಬೆಟರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲೋವರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್, ಬೆಟರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ ವುಮೆನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಆಫ್ rural people. Only then you can call such growth to be what? Inclusive growth. Understand one thing, even today the labor force participation rate of women is one of the lowest in the world. And understand one thing, that women need affirmative action because they are being discriminated from time immemorial. If there is something which is common across all societies, then it is discrimination of women. That is why a great man once told, you educate a man, you educate a man. If you educate women, you educate entire generation. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿಯವ್ರು ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಬ್ರಾಡರ್ ಮೆಂಟಾಲಿಟಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ನಮಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರ ಇಂಥದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಕ್ಕೆ? ಎಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ? Understanding that would increase their decision making. So, understanding my point, growth should translate to better opportunities for these 4 section of people, no? Ivattigu we talk about affirmative actions for Kalyana Karnataka people, no? Why? Because the growth was not inclusive. Even today there is a lot of backwardness, no? I come from that region. I know what that region is. All right? Understanding or not? So basically, growth should translate to what? It should translate to better life for, can you repeat please? Poor, lower sections of the society, women and rural. That is called as inclusive growth. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್? Yes or no? Now can you define what sustainable development is? Growth which is inclusive and which doesn't harm environment. And what do I mean by this? That is why I told you growth is a quantitative concept, not a qualitative concept. Whether you are attaining growth by burning one of the most polluted fuels doesn't matter for GDP. Getting my point? If you are attaining growth by burning greener fuels, that is called as sustainable development. Understanding? So your growth should pay heed to the demands of the nature. Yes or no? What is happening with Bangalore? Do you think Bangalore, there is sustainable development in Bangalore? ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ರೀ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ? ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತೀರಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ. Bangalore has grown. There is development in Bangalore also. But is it environmentally viable? Concretization, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲೇಕ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ವಲ್ಲ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ? Yes or no? but we have added concrete. So there is no, lakes are nothing but sponges, remember. What are lakes? What happens when you pour water on a sponge? It absorbs, no? So lakes absorb water and increase in something called as groundwater. It is called as groundwater recharge or not? Everywhere in lake you encroach because to satisfy human greed. Yes or no? And that is going to lead to a crisis or not? Understanding what is sustainable development? Yeah.
These factors are affected, then there is a decrease in the GDP.
No, GDP may increase. GDP may increase. GDP can increase by GDP's output.
In these poor sections and lower sections, then GDP.
Then that is development. That is the difference between GDP and development. You are not understanding. GDP can increase by employing child labor also. But that doesn't lead to development, no? You are understanding my point? GDP can increase by using the most polluted fuel in the world also. That is, you can increase the production of fan by using polluted fuel or not. But does that lead to development? The production of fan can increase by only employing men. By employing men. But I will consciously follow a policy wherein I will not employ women. Does it lead to inclusive growth? You are getting my point? GDP increase ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ it doesn't necessarily mean inclusive growth ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ and development ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? Yes or no? With this knowledge also you can write your mains if you look your previous questions. Provided you study some more points and some data. The point I am trying to tell you is the exam is simple provided you do simple things. Don't complicate your preparation or you need to optimize your preparation. You are understanding my point or not? Next, can you tell me the syllabus? ಏನಪ್ಪ? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಜೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಜೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ? Imagine I have a pocket, right? Don't imagine I have a pocket. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ? ಆ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಹೆಸರೇನು? ಕನ್ಸಾಲಿಡೇಟೆಡ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನೇ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ವೇರ್? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನೇ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ವೇರ್? Consolidate. So it's like a tijori, no? You know what is tijori? The pocket of the government is what? What do you name this pocket? Consolidated Fund of India. Government has another pocket called as the Public Account of India. Have you heard these terms? ಈ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಇಂದ ಈ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಮ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಬೇಕು, ಈ ಪಾಕೆಟ್ ಇಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ತೆಗಿಯಕ್ಕೂ ನಿಮ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸೇ to receive something also you take permission. And how can you receive? Taxes majorly, but there are other things which we'll study. Non-taxes are also there, capital receipts are also there. We'll deal with it. To send also you take a permission, no? So this is for different schemes. Yes or no? So this is by appropriation bill. Appropriation bill. This is by finance bill. I'll give you an assignment. You should tell me tomorrow what is the difference between finance bill and financial bill. Don't confuse between the two. Finance bill and financial bill. Getting my point? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ ಸರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ? So we will try to understand how government is preparing budget. We will come across different terms. All right? And what is important for exam is whenever government includes or imposes new forms of tax, that automatically becomes important. For example, some years back government has imposed something called as a Google tax. Have you heard of it? Google tax. Now Google tax is something. Now what happened was, whoever is in India, whoever is doing business in India, who should pay tax to the government of India. You agree with this? Yes or no? If you are doing business in India, which government will you pay the tax to? Government of India. But Google as a company is based in America, no? And you are giving ads. Imagine I'm giving an ad to Google. Don't you think it is taking money from me? That means it is doing business in India or not? But Google is telling that no, I am based in America. All my servers is present in America. Why should I pay the tax to the government of India? Getting my point? What is the problem? Understanding or not? For this, government of India brought a tax called as the Google tax or the equalization levy, which tells that no matter where you are placed, if you are doing digital business in India, you have to pay tax into the government of India. Understanding? So any new taxes which are imposed should be studied with caution. Understanding? Now, I told you they have to take your permission. No. How will they take permission? They will take permission by passing a law. A finance bill is nothing but a law, no? Eventually, if it passes, now you know the difference between bill, law and act, no? Yes or no? So, it becomes a law. And they take permission from your representatives. Has the government anytime come and asked you whether should I increase your tax or not, madam? Who are they asking to? Your MPs, no? Indirectly they are taking your permission or not? Understanding my point? So in government budgeting we'll be encountering different terms, different taxes which are important. What is the next this thing? Yes. ಇವಾಗ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Imagine this to be a farmer. He's upset because there are no rains. Correct? Alla upset iddidu symbol. The smiley is correct? Or the smiley should be this? Huh? Correct? Huh? So he's heavy upset. Okay. Anything which a farmer does on his land is called agricultural production. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Agricultural produce ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ will get bags of rice and wheat. After that, whatever the farmer does, it is called as agri marketing. What is it called? The farmer is plowing the land. Will you consider it in agricultural production or agri marketing? Plowing the land. ಹೊಲ ಉಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಬಿತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. You call it in agricultural production or marketing? The farmer is irrigating the land. Will you call it as agricultural production or marketing? Because irrigation is for increasing the production, no? Yes or no? Understanding the difference? Produce ಮಾಡ್ದ farmer. Produce ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ inputs ಬೇಕಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? To produce anything you need inputs or not? What are the inputs? First land ರೀ. To prepare paneer tikka, what do you need? Don't tell me I need masala, sir. First tell me I need paneer. So for agriculture ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ you should need what? Land. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನಾನ್ ವೆಜ್ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನ ವೆಜ್ಜಾ? ಓಕೆ, ವೆಜ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡೋಣ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಅಫೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಸ್? ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ? Most of you are telling that you come from agricultural families. Tell the inputs, no man. Tools, okay. Then water or irrigation. Aita. Matte? Fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, etc. etc. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ? Credit is also an input or not? A farmer take finances, no? Kisan credit card, you have heard? And what are the other things? Mechanization like implements, etc. After that, what you have? You have the bag of rice which is ready. Now this bag he has to take where? Market. Let us say this is mandi. It is called what? Mandi is nothing but mandi alla idu. Mandi. Mandi is a place where you sell your agricultural produce. Getting my point? Now, what is happening with Indian agriculture is the costs are increasing. In Mandi, what happens? He will sell his bag of rice and receive what? Money in return or not? Now, costs are increasing, but amount received is what? It is decreased. That is why there are farm protests, no? Yes or no? We will study how auction takes place in Mandi. How a farmer sells in Mandi. We will study different acts like the APMC Act, etc. Ivaga farmer has to produce from his field and transport to Mandi. Imagine this is in Bidar. This is in Bangalore. Just hypothetically. ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? Yes or no? You need transportation also, no? Getting my point? There should be storage facilities. There should be transportation facilities. Now read other linkages of that. So in cropping pattern, you are going to study what is happening in the field, no? In which region is growing what type of plant or what type of crop? Is there any change in the trends or not, etc. Then, can you read out the syllabus? Now you are able to get a broader picture of what you are going to study in agriculture. Pratyondardu you are going to study problems and solutions. Land, problem, solutions. Seeds, problem, solution. Tools, problem, solution. Irrigation, problem and solution. If you do this, then getting my point or not? You are getting a broader picture of what the syllabus is. Don't you feel it is going to be interesting or not? Yes or no? Yes, sir. Yeah. ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನಿದೆ? ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್? ಎಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ e-technology. Now, e-technology, there is nothing to explain. It's just using technology. For example, have you heard of e-NAM? E-agricultural markets, national agriculture markets. Basically, a produce which is any agriculture produce in one part of the country can be sold in the other part of the country through online. It's just like Amazon. Yes? Yeah. Next. Issues related to direct and? Okay. So basically, what is happening is, see, a farmer when he produces a crop, he has to have some assurance, no, that his crops will be purchased by somebody. Because understand, in agriculture, in developed countries, agriculture is equal to food security. America, agriculture is equal to what? Food security. Food security andre mamma I told, no? Uta madodu. Yes. But in a developing country like India, agriculture is equal to food security plus employment, no? In America, not even 7% of their population is dependent on agriculture. They will have thousands of hectares. They will practice commercial agriculture, intensive agriculture. But in India, 55% of the population is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture or not. So agriculture is not just an issue of food security for us. It is also an issue of what? Employment and rural distress, no? Rural prosperity. Getting my point? So whenever, imagine that you are preparing for an exam. There should be an assurance that UPSC should conduct exam, no, at the first place. Only then you will prepare. Yes or no? Exam ಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? When there is a ಭರವಸೆ that an organization is going to conduct exam every year. ಅಲ್ವಾ? KPSC ತರ ಅಲ್ಲ, 5 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರ್ತಿ, 10 ವರ್ಷ, ಇನ್ ಮುಂದೆ 10 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರ ಅವರು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬರೀತೀರಾ KPSC, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಏಜ್ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. I mean, this is see, there are some public service commissions like Bihar Public Service Commission. They conduct exam every year, and they announce the date also at which the exam will be conducted. Result will be announced. All right. But unfortunately, our Service Commission of Karnataka Public, it is one of the most horrible commissions in the entire country. Corruption is rampant. ಹಂಗಂತ ಓದೋದು ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಸರ್? ಅಲ್ಲ, ಓದಬೇಕು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಇಸ್, a farmer also will produce when he has a confidence that somebody else will purchase his produce, no? Now there is an assurance that the government will purchase farmers produce no matter what. All right, at what price will the government purchase? The farmer is producing his crop and government is assuring that I will purchase your crop if nobody is purchasing. Don't worry, even if a private sector is not purchasing crop, I will purchase. So the farmer is selling his crop, the government should give him what? Rupees, no? This is called as minimum support price. Understanding? Yes or no? A farmer is producing the crop. Before every sowing season, the government of India announces MSP, means MSP for 22 crops. All right, that means if you sow this crop, come and give it to me, I'll purchase it at this price. Getting my point? How many sowing seasons are there in India? Kharif, Rabi. There is also one sowing season which is short sowing season called as Zaid. Getting my point? So before Kharif, government will announce MSP. And MSP is what you understand now? The government will purchase that particular agricultural product at a particular price called as the minimum support price. The government will give a lot of subsidies to the farmers also. Subsidy on fertilizers like urea la. Yes or no? Urea subsidy gotala? Nutrient based subsidy etc. On irrigation also, no? Diesel mele subsidy kodutala government. Electricity subsidy also government gives, no, to farmers. So there are various agricultural subsidies which are given by government to the farmers to reduce the cost of production of a farmer. Yes or no? What is the problem with these subsidies? Imagine the government is giving unending subsidy for agriculture, for electricity, and the farmer is not conscious as to how much water he is using. Don't you think it is going to lead to groundwater depletion? Yes or no? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆನಾ? So basically we are going to study the different effects of agricultural subsidy. Next point. PDS. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಇವಾಗ ನಂಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಇಂದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್? ಗ್ರೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? Grains like rice, wheat, etc. and giving him what? Rupees at something called as the. Is this part understood? Yes or no? Please be a bit more. Now this go down of the government, you can call it as Food Corporation of India, FCI. Okay, the government, the go down has the food grains or not? What will the government do with the food grains? These grains will be distributed to poor population, no? Under the scheme called as the PD. Yes or no? Understanding? Fair price shop gotala? Ration angadi antivala? Yes or no? ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೆಜಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? 5 kg ಪ್ಲಸ್ 5 kg ದುಡ್ಡಲ್ಲ? Yes. Understanding? So this is PDS. Now what are the problems faced by PDS? What is happening? All these things will be dealt in this unit. Then this will be covered in. So what happens is, the government will not distribute all the crops. The government will keep some stock during emergency. Imagine there is a natural disaster. There should be some emergency stocks, no? So we'll be dealing with buffer stock. All right. Then animal rearing. So agriculture also includes animal husbandry or not? Now you will find out this and tell me. This is also an assignment. I have given you 2 assignments today. Assignment number 1 was finance bill and financial bill. Second assignment is Tell me whether animal husbandry comes under agriculture or not. Okay, you should be very definite with the definitions. Because in life, if definitions are clear, life will be easy. Artha aita? You will never get into something called as situationship. You know what is situationship? Definition clear iralala. Either you are a friend, you are a friend. Define properly. You are not understanding what I am telling? ನಗ್ತಾನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ರಿ, ಅರ್ಥನೇ ಆಗ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ನಾನಂತ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಥರ, ಅಥವಾ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ದು ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಅನ್ ಎಲ್ಡರ್ ಬ್ರದರ್. ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಥರ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹುಡುಗಿ, ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಫ್ರೆಂಡಾ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಬೇಡಿ. ಸೊ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಫುಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ನಾನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಶಾರ್ಟರ್ ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Now, to increase the shelf life and add value, I should process the food or not? Example of processed food is what? Maggi? Various millets we are getting, no, processed ones. Yes or no? Milk also you process or not? When you process a food, first of all, food wastage kadme aguttala. Imagine this farmer is producing a lot of potatoes. Understanding my point? After 1 month, the potatoes will be spoiled, no? Don't you think it is leading to a lot of wastage? To reduce this wastage, what if he processes the food, potatoes? Don't you think it is going to increase his shelf life and also his income or not? So when you process a food, that is food processing. You will add value to it. And whenever you are undertaking food processing madake, you should give employment or not? To run a food processing industry, you have to give employment or not? So don't you think it is doing the dual job of, it is also helping the farmers, plus it is creating new employment. And we will in this chapter study what are the linkages, upward linkages, downstream linkages of food processing, etc., etc. Understanding? What is the next point? Land reforms. Artha agta idena? You have understood every point till now? What we are going to study? You are getting a broader picture of the course or not? Yes. Land reforms. What is land reform? Basically, land ownership, land tenure, idir ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು land reforms. All right. So basically, I will give you a story from the pre-independent era, that is the British era, and after independent era, and how land reforms were promised. All right. So everything will be studied in detail. And for giving you an example, land to the tiller, you have heard? Yes or no? What do they tell? Indira Gandhi had done a reform, you remember? ಉಳುವವನೇ ಒಡೆಯನು, ಭೂಮಿಯ ಒಡೆಯನು. All right. So about that we'll understand. All right. And what is the present state of land reforms? From this, every year there is going to be one question in UPSC mains, and the question is repeated almost every year. All right. Ivattu one developmental project ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, don't you think land acquisition is a major barrier? One highway, imagine I want to do a highway and there are agriculture fields there. I have to acquire their land or not? If I go to acquire their land, 100 people will be with me. One person will file a case. Don't you think the entire project will stop or not? So we will understand the practical problems as to what is happening, what should be the new generation of land reforms, which is essential for a developing country like India. Understanding my point or not? All right. Then apart from that, what do we have? Now, liberalization story helidinala? Yes or no? You got a context of what liberalization is, as to what forced us to liberalize? Yes or no? Now we will study in detail what were the different reforms we took under liberalization, privatization and Globalization. And what is the effect of liberalization, privatization, and globalization? Are you reading newspapers related to farm? Are you reading newspapers daily? If you can't read newspaper daily, at least watch a news analysis. Any news analysis you can watch. All right. What is the major demand of farmers? How many of you are reading newspapers? Yeah. Tell me the major demand of farmers apart from MSP. World Trade Organization in the ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ. Are the farmers not demanding that you should take your membership back from the World Trade Organization? Yes or no? Why? Why is it so? Because World Trade Organization imposes certain restrictions on the government and reduces the subsidy given by the government to the people. Black box, blue box, amber box, and green box. I will discuss in detail. So basically what happens is, understand this, after LPG reforms, inequality in society has increased. Inequality has, these are ill effects, and there are positive effects also, which we will discuss in detail. All right, this would not be a 1 or 2 page notes, and if you read this, and you will be able to tackle any of the questions in the exam. Understanding? So basically there is something called as neoliberalism. How many of you are political science students here? Optional. You have taken PSIR as optional? Both. Others have not decided on the optional? Sociology, how many of you have your optional? Sociology. How many of you have not decided anything? Good. How many of you don't want to write optional? Huh? Because my option is also PSI, that's why I'm asking. Okay. So basically, what happens after 1991 is, the problem with Indian development and development across the world is, the growth is coming from service sector. Artha aita? The growth is coming from which sector? And by its very nature, service sector is employing less number of people. To produce 1 ton of rice, understand, 1 ton is equal to 1000 rupees. Let us understand it this way. 1 ton is equal to 1000 rupees. And if a person, call center person, is making a call, let us say 100 calls is equal to 1000 rupees. Now to produce 1 ton, he should employ, let us say, 10 laborers. But to make 100 calls, he can employ only 1 laborer, no? Understanding the problem here? Yes or no? 1 laborer he'll employ. So don't you think these 9 people are left out? When most of the growth is coming from service sector, don't you think it is employing less people or not? You are understanding this business? Because people are not having employment, people will be pushed into poverty or not? And poverty leads to inequality or not? People who are rich are becoming richer or not? Are you not witnessing in the society? You yourself, I'm telling you from your personal experiences, people who are rich are getting richer every day. People who are poorer are getting poorer every day or not? This is one of the effects of LPG reforms. We will study some other effects also in detail. Understanding? Then, infrastructure. Now understand this. For any economic activity, you know you need infrastructure or not? Why? Because you need to get your raw materials from Punjab. You need to produce it in Tamil Nadu. And you need to export to US. Getting my point? So infrastructure includes all these things. And infrastructure is of 2 types. One is physical infrastructure. The other one is social infrastructure. Physical infrastructure allenire roads, that which you can feel and see, no? Yes. Am I a physical being or not? Whether I'm educated or not, you can see it just by looking at me. Understanding? That which is tangible is called as physical. You can see a road through your eyes or not? Ports, you can see it or not? Education and health, can you see it? So education and health comes under, this is roads, this is ports. What are the other things? Airports, railways. So infrastructure is something which is going to help you produce or help in the production activity or economic activity. Yes or no? So infrastructure is what? Anything which helps you in your economic activity. Don't you think these ports, roadways and all are helping in your economic activity or not? Can you imagine any production without electricity or energy? Is it possible to imagine? So energy is an integral part of infrastructure or not? So physical also includes energy. And to produce also requires skills, no? That is why we are studying education. Can a person who is ill go and work in an economic firm? Don't you think health is important? That is why we are studying it under infrastructure. Understanding? So be very clear. What is infrastructure? Anything which helps you in the process of production. Andre, ಯಾವುದೇ economic activity na help ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದೇ ಏನು? Infrastructure. This can be of two types. This can be of two types. One is physical infrastructure, other one is social infrastructure. A tea vendor is using a machine to vend teas. It is physical infrastructure or social infrastructure? He is employing laborers who have the knowledge of making tea. It is social infrastructure, no? Yes or no? Getting my point? So we'll study about infrastructure in detail. Apart from that, investment models. Okay, so investment models is, let us see what happens. All right, now whenever we are talking of investment, now infrastructure requires money. Infrastructures require money, and infrastructure requires a lot of money. Yes or no? Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. So infrastructure requires money, and infrastructure requires a lot of money. All right, to build a road you require crores of money, no? All right, to build an energy plant you require crores of money or not? So basically this money entirely government cannot give, because government already has a lot of things to do, no? Yes or no? Government has a lot of things to do or not? So basically government has scarce resources. So government has to distribute its resources to what? Government has to distribute its resources to health, education, food grains, etc. All right, so government has a lot of to do already in the plate. So what eventually the government has to do? The government cannot put all the money by itself, so it has to include private sector also. Understanding? So to build this road, some money will be pooled by the government and some money will be invested by the private. some money will be given by the government and some money will be invested by the private sector. And there are different models, different terms and conditions how this investment takes place. For example, we can agree that, imagine I am the government and she is the private sector. What can we do? We can agree that, okay, you can put in money, I will give you land, you can operate that particular toll booth for 10 to 20 years and you can collect all your revenue from that in the next 20 years. Understanding? This is happening in the toll, no? So there are different models as to how the government and the private sector are cooperating with each other. Getting my point? So these investment models will be studied. Like for example, we have build, operate, transfer model, hybrid annuity model. So there are different models in which we will understand how this is understood. But before that, you need to understand the necessity of investment models. You understand the necessity of investment models? The necessity of investment model is government doesn't have all the resources. For example, we need 5 lakh crore for investment in India. That cannot completely come from the government, no, because government has other things also to do. Understanding my point? So what should I do? So that money, some money will be given by the government, other money will be given by the private sector, and there will be certain terms and conditions which are associated with this model. Based on different terms and conditions associated, we have different models of investment. Understanding my point? We have different models of investment. So in this chapter we'll study about infrastructure and different investment models. What is the next in this thing? Science and technology. Okay, so these things will be covered, and today, since it was an introductory class, I have used some bit of Kannada also. All right, but we will make the classes will be majorly in English, and people who are not understanding, you can come to my cabin after the class if you are finding difficulty in understanding any concept or the mode of delivery or the mode of language also. You can just come there and we can have a discussion and your doubts will be solved. Understanding my point? So basically, what did we do? Let us take a broad overview and a broader look of the class. All right, what should we do? What did we do? First, we have tried to get an overview of the prelim syllabus. All right, and mains. Why I have particularly discussed this syllabus in isolation is after understanding this, you might have agreed, you will agree to me that most of the prelim syllabus overlaps with the main syllabus or not. Understanding? So that is why you need to have an integrated approach towards this subject. Getting my point? Many people tell that, okay sir, I'm preparing for prelims, after that I'll prepare for mains, or they'll tell that now I'll prepare for mains and then I'll prepare for prelims. I could have discussed this syllabus in one go only, but on purpose I have segregated them into prelim syllabus and main syllabus to make you conscious that both these syllabus are overlapping. Understanding my point? The approach might be different, but the syllabus is overlapping. Understanding? So you should always go for what? An integrated preparation. There is no preparation in silos. The preparation should always be in integration. Understanding my point? So how you are going to do the preparation? Now you have understood the syllabus. All right. Now you have understood the syllabus. You have got 3 assignments to do today. You have got 3 assignments to do today. First assignment is syllabus and previous year questions. Then I have asked you to finance bill versus financial bill. Then agriculture definition, whether agriculture includes animal husbandry or not. Understanding? I am telling you this assignment is an extension of class. So whenever I am telling you, see, for example, till now we have been hearing this notion that if your syllabus is completed, your subject is completed. Correct or not? But that is not the case here. Your subject gets completed only after you complete your syllabus plus previous year questions. Without your previous year questions, your preparation is incomplete. Understanding my point? After me teaching something in the class, you have to make sure that you are going to solve your previous year questions. And if you have any doubt regarding previous year questions, what you should do? You should come to my chamber and clarify your doubts then and there. All right. So just by completing the syllabus, your subject is not being dealt in totality. Subject will be completed, considered to be complete only when you complete the syllabus plus previous year questions. Understanding my point? So assignment is going to be an extension of class. All right. I cannot monitor everyone's assignment. It is self-regulatory. You should be a self-regulatory body. All right. You should attest yourself that I have completed my this thing. So basically, we have taken an overview of the entire prelim syllabus and the main syllabus. And then I have given you certain assignments, and understand that along with that you will have something called as the previous year questions and the micro test. No? Yes. Okay. So this micro tests are going to be extremely helpful for you to apply this concept. All right. So I know I would give you some tips which are going to be extremely helpful for your preparation. Understand this. Understand this. There is something called as you have to sit for long hours. At least 7 hours is what I told. Sit for 7 hours. There are certain techniques which I followed and which helped me. One is called as the Pomodoro technique. What is Pomodoro technique? You heard a Pomodoro technique? How many of you have not heard Pomodoro technique? Most of you have not heard Pomodoro. Now this was a technique which was invented by an Italian scientist. All right. Now scientists have to sit for long hours, no? So he had a problem concentrating. What he did was he divided the entire work into smaller chunks. Imagine this is the work. Let us say you have to complete 2 chapters, or let's say 20 pages. All right. What he used to do is he used to study for 25 minutes. 5 minutes will be rest. Again 25 minutes. 5 minutes will be rest. Again 25 minutes. 5 minutes will be rest. Again 25 minutes. 5 minutes will be rest. Getting my point? So you will not get bored. I used to do 50 and 10. Getting my point? So if you do it for 7 sessions, let us say 3 sessions in the afternoon or in the morning, or 4 sessions in the night, are you not hitting your daily targets? You are getting my point? So those 10 minutes you can hear a song, but never use the phone to talk or call anybody, because the conversation will eventually drag to more than 10 minutes. Yes or no? You can listen to some music, or you can go for a quick walk. All right, and come back and start the next session. All right. So this you should do how many sessions you should do? I used to do 50-10, and this comes with a bit of practice. Initially you can start with 25-5. All right. Understand that sitting for long hours will take time, at least 1 month of time, if you consciously practice it. It's not that today you have hit your 7 hours target and tomorrow you are 0. Getting my point? Every day you should do it for the next 1 month. That time it will be very easy for you to sit for long hours. And this technique is going to help you. And second thing which is going to help you in this exam is something called as the spaced repetition. Spaced repetition. Understand one thing. That which cannot be remembered, that which cannot be retained should not be studied. Understanding? What is the point of studying endlessly if you can't retain anything? Getting my point? It's just as good as studying a novel book, no? or a storybook. So only that which you can retain should be studied. So to retain, you should practice something called as the spaced repetition. That means whatever you have revised, you have to revise within 24 hours. Then you have to revise within 7 days. Then you have to revise within 28 days. So you have to do 3 revisions. That's when it goes to your long-term memory. That's when it goes to your long-term memory. Understanding my point? Without revision, nothing is going to help you. Understanding my point? Getting the point or not? And for spaced repetition technique, I used to do something called as audio notes. Audio notes. Like for example, immediately after I study a particular concept, I would try to explain it to myself. Now you can explain it to yourself only when you have understood the concept at the first place. I studied this book. Imagine that I've studied this book. I close this book. Now, if I have understood the concept, I would explain it to myself without seeing the book. Getting my point? Understanding or not? So when I explain it to myself, I will take a quick summary of whatever I have studied and start recording it. Everybody has a recorder in your phone or not? You explain it to yourself in your own mother tongue or in your own language. Alright? And then tomorrow while you're coming on your bike, on your metro, you can just hear it again. Don't you think it will revise everything? Yes or no? Understanding my point? So what is going to happen is, over a period of time, and this technique by the way is called as the Feynman technique. What is it called? Feynman technique. Now Feynman is a very famous mathematician and physicist also, I guess. So basically what he says that to know whether you have understand a concept or not, you have to be able to explain in such a way that even a 5-year-old kid can explain that concept. Yes or no? That means you have to simplistically able to deliver that concept, and that can happen only when you understand the concept in detail. Getting my point? So basically there are 2 things which I am telling you, 2 techniques which I told you. What are these? Pomodoro technique, space repetition technique, and you will use extensively what? You will extensively use what? Audio notes in your preparation. You are getting my point? Alright. So tomorrow onwards from the class, I am telling you the mode of delivery would be English. Alright. Today was an introductory class. And any doubt you can have, anytime you can ask me. Alright. You can mail me also. Alright. So this is my mail ID. You can mail me directly to this ID, nikhilnawadgeri@gmail.com. Okay, you can come and meet me after the class, or you can in the class itself, wherever you are having doubt, you can just stop my class for a while after explanation. Don't stop me during explanation. Immediately after explanation, I'll give you some time to ask doubts, and then we can clear the doubts and then go for dictation. Understanding my point? Any doubt? Reference books. Yes. Reference books or resources. You can either go for, we are giving you from IAS Baba also, no? One. You can go through them. Alright. Or you can go from Vivek Singh, or Ramesh Singh. Now Vivek and Ramesh are not brothers, they are 2 different people. Alright, and rely on class notes. Rely on class notes primarily. But still, if you want to quench your intellectual thirst, you can go for them. But I would suggest you to optimize your resources. because you should always follow a thumb rule. That which cannot be retained should not be studied, because you are not going to get any outcome out of it. No, understanding my point or not? Yes. Any other doubt? We'll have a question answer session. Any doubts you can ask? People have joined online also. Any doubts? No doubts. This happens in two cases. Yes, ma'am, ask a doubt. You, yeah. Yes, you should ask a doubt. Yes, you, ma'am, green one. Yeah. You have no doubt. Okay. Sir, you. No doubts. You're telling that you have not taught anything only, sir. How can we ask a doubt? But anything related to preparation? NCRTs, you can go for macroeconomics and Indian economy, 11th and 12th, okay? Don't study microeconomics. But even if you don't do NCRTs, I will cover NCRTs in the class only from the basics. Like, not per se, but whatever is related to the subject, that will be covered from NCRT also. Getting my point? But you can read your NCRT if you want. NCRTs are very good books to read. But don't worry, even if you are not reading, the concepts will be understood here in the class. Alright? But before that, I want you to memorize your syllabus and previous year questions are also very important. Today I will be sending a file of the paper 3 analysis. Alright? So, syllabus wise, I have segregated the questions that are being asked from 2013 to 2023 for the mains, and prelims you can refer any previous year question guide or book. All right, just you can after every topic you will have a micro test, no? In that also PYQs will be covered, most of it, and then you can refer it by your own also. You can purchase one book. All right, understanding? But I'll send the mains previous year question segregated topic wise in your group. You have a group, no? I'll ask them to send it. So I'm telling you, optimization of preparation comes only when you study your previous year questions and syllabus. Getting my point? Any other doubts? All of you are waiting to go. You are hungry? Huh? There is another class. At 1 there is another class. Okay. Yes, please. Then we'll wrap up the class. Thank you for bearing me for 3 hours. But make sure you bear for the next 25 days. Attend the classes regularly. All right.